Good morning, fellow option traders. Welcome to the daily scan for Thursday, April 18th, 2013. Well, yesterday was a great day for my wife and I as we had, well, we didn't have, but my son and his wife, or actually his wife, well, anyway, we have a fifth grandchild. And her name is Nora Rose. So congratulations to my son and his wife up in Milwaukee for giving us another lovely granddaughter. All right, so where are we? Let's take a look at what is going to be exciting and happening today. Okay, we have Thursday jobless claims. Every Thursday jobless claims. All you have to do is just click on this and you can take a look. Jobless claims were down last week, but the week before was pretty far up, so the brown line here is the moving average, and it popped up quite a bit, but still we're getting lower highs and lower lows, which is good for the economy, but I still have to say, gee, you're only expecting 1% of the population to get their walking papers this week. Okay, just figure out if that's happening every week. Anyway, and the Philadelphia Fed survey is coming out. Beige Book came out yesterday, and I read some of it, at least the recap of it. If you click on this link here, I'm not going to do that now. But it's just like, yeah, the economy's kind of recovering, but it is so incredibly sluggish and very susceptible to practically any event that could happen. All right. Let's take a look at the account. Both accounts, all accounts. Everything looking pretty good. I'm not going to really jump into anything except to say that we're still in the gold. And, every night I take a look at this and during the day and stuff, and it just, I think it's really in a period of consolidation, so I may just get out of it and take the money and run today. Also on the Russell, I wanted to take a look at that. I did sell the 955, I believe it was. It was up here. I did sell it yesterday. Let's take a look right quick. That was in this account. We got the Russell up there. Alright, so this 955, I sold it for $8.55, or I bought it for $8.55 and I sold it for $6. So I lost $2.55 on that. Still in the 910, and you can tell by just taking a look at this. We're at 277, so we're okay there. We'll pick up a little bit of theta today. All things being equal and everything being static, meaning IV and price. I'm going to take this off of here. I'll leave it on here as a reminder. So this is what it looks like now. Like I mentioned yesterday, calendars, I don't think I really know how to trade them, so I probably shouldn't, but I think they do work pretty good for insurance policies. But there are other insurance policies that I have been thinking about and hearing about that I may apply rather than these calendars. Back to the monitor tab. I wanted to point something out here. A couple of enhancements that have come across on the platform recently. One is this little icon here, which I forget what it used to look like, but it kind of recaps everything, all the alerts and announcements that came from Thinkorswim yesterday. And they actually do retain them to the next day to the market open, I believe, and then these will drop off and then we start over again. So this is kind of nice if you want to take a look at what may have happened yesterday. Here's, you can see here, this is the calendar on the Russell and all your orders, what was canceled, etc., etc. So I kind of like this, and not only that, but you can export it. You can add it to your gadgets so that you can add it down here if you want to. You can print it and you can export it. You can export it as a CSV or as a HTML or a web page. So I kind of like that. And another thing that I noticed here is you can actually mess with these columns to a limited extent. The only thing that I don't like is you can't move this profit and loss, and you can move these columns over here. PL open, PL day. I could have sworn that PL day used to be over here and PL open used to be over here. And then they switched it around and it just screws me up royally, but I'm starting to get used to it. But you can add other columns here if you so desire. So that's two things that I noticed. I don't know if that happened last weekend or the release before. Alright, so take a quick look. Looks like we're going to open up a little bit, and gold is probably going to pop a little bit. And oil is still below 90, although it looks like it's going to move up nicely today too, if you're into high-priced oil. Alright, so let's just jump right over to the A+ list. We'll do a scan and call it a day. Bring up our charts here. I don't know if I want to mess with this. I think I'm going to keep this one here, so I'm not going to change it, and I'm not going to save it in front of you and waste time doing that. We'll just go to our regular chart and we'll just jump back and forth on the screens. Okay, Apple, wow, that was something yesterday with Apple, don't you think? Ended up at 402. Is 4 a resistance or a support, I should say? Yeah. Only time will tell. We do not have an entry, however, so we won't waste any more time looking at that. Amazon. Too flat. Earnings coming up. Just going to take a pass on that. Baidu. Lucked out yesterday with our bear call here at 90. Stock closed down at 88. Looks like it's going to open down today as well, from what I can tell from the bid ask. So that's a good thing for that particular trade. But entrance, well, we missed out on it. So I'm not going to chase after it at this time. The confirmation was here on this candle, where it dipped just below this one. For some reason I didn't get in that day. And CF Industries, this May bear call would have worked out. I'm going to delete this. Or it is working out, I guess you should say. Chipotle. We have our Iron Condor going on here. I think I keep deleting these and they keep showing up. I don't know why. So this is an April Iron Condor. Checking to see if we have an entry on this. We're in an uptrend. This is a secondary entry point, but they have earnings today after the market, so I'm just going to stay away from it. It's too late really to do a earnings play on that. All right, Salesforce. They had their stock split actually this morning. I think when it opens, it's going to open at, well, let's take a look here. It's going to open somewhere around here. So it's showing a net change, but that's because the charts and all that haven't been corrected. So what they'll be doing is they'll be taking all of these numbers that created all these candles and divide them by 4 and create a new chart. So we'll see that probably when the market opens this morning. All right, not touching that one until things settle down. Google. I have a simulated iron condor on Google. See if it survives through earnings tonight. And we'll take a look at that tomorrow morning and see what happened there. Not touching it. It's in an uptrend, but it looks like it may be setting up for some sort of trend reversal. But we have to wait for earnings in order to tell. MasterCard. Alright, I have an alert on here. I was looking for some sort of pop to the upside here, a continuation of this trend. Didn't get it yesterday. Earnings. I don't know if I am interested in anything here. And I still would prefer to see the %D, which is the red line here. I would prefer to see that come down. So I'm going to delete this drawing and delete this drawing. I would prefer that to come down here anyway. It's not a real strong trend, although long-term trend looks pretty good. But we're having a MACD turn down here on the long term, and there's just hasn't been enough, like since February, we haven't been getting above the 80 or below the 20 on the long term, which is an interesting thing to see, actually. Very interesting. So we're looking at pretty much what we're seeing here is consolidation on the long term. All right, Netflix. Netflix. We had a real nice setup here for a trend reversal, for a bear call that we passed on. Still, it may not be too late. I'm kind of liking that. What are we seeing here? Long term. Yeah, looking pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to put an alert on Netflix. And right about here. At or below. And we might jump in on that. And what might we jump in with? Well, we'd probably be looking at, we got earnings coming up next week, right? 22nd is Monday. So we have earnings coming up on Monday. I think I'm going to cancel this. Netflix can be kind of wild, as we saw back here. A little too wild for my taste. Too late for a earnings play, unless you want to just take a purely directional play. And if you want to do that, then if you think their earnings are going to be good, because they were good the last time, the thing to do, in my mind, is just to go ahead and pick next week's expiration. If you think they're going to be good, you can either buy a bull call or sell a bull put. Now, are we going to get a 5-to-1? At the money is about 170. So if we say, let's just say we buy a vertical. That's 223 out of $500 in risk here. Well, actually, you're only risking $223. If you were to, and this would be, if you're bullish on it, this would be a nice trade. It costs you 223 and you would make 277 max profit. That's not bad. But you can do the same thing on the put side by selling a vertical. Here you would risk 245 to make 255. So it's kind of a wash. Either way you want to go, you could do that. If you want to, it doesn't make any sense to do both, but you could, I guess. Although you would end up even on your 270s because you're buying and selling one, and it would not make any sense to do both. Just do two of these. You want to take a $500 bet. I'll bet 500. I'm not going to bet 500, but you could bet 500 on that. Alright, price line. I don't know if I would take that bet or not myself, but we were looking for a hook, still looking for a hook on Priceline. And Panera. Earnings next week on the 23rd, that's Tuesday. Our Iron Condor didn't work out here. I'm just going to delete, well, I'll delete these two. I don't want to delete everything. So we won't be worrying about that one anymore. Anything happening here? We may have a secondary entry coming up here, but again, same thing, earnings on this Wednesday of next week. I would be willing to bet that they are going to have decent earnings announcements, although past earnings announcements, at least the last two, have been relatively tame from a price action perspective. So if we go back here on 2.6, yeah, it was pretty tame from a price action perspective. There's a little bit of wildness here. So here we were flat, and we did get a bounce in the price, and then it came back down. And here we were in an uptrend, and just before earnings, price dropped really hard and then gapped up. So if we take that, we see we're in an uptrend. I don't know how to read this. Historically, from the last two earnings, I'm not seeing anything. Here's a reversal of trend. And here it was flat. And then it went into a downtrend. So I can't read anything from that. I can't say anything historically about this, so I'm leaving that one alone. However, I have to say that the price line, no, Netflix looks interesting for a directional earnings play, and the directional bet would be up for me. Or are expectations out of order? You know, I'm looking at this. I would do a bearish play on this. So let's get rid of both of these. Here's what I think I might be doing. We're at 170. 222. That would be where I think I would put my money. So I'm going to make a note of that. I'll probably get into that today. Oh man, papers flying all over the place here. So that's going to really be the only thing for today is Netflix earnings play. Okay, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and happy trading.